Hey, Rachel.
All right, it is 6:01 p.m. I will call our meeting to order. Has the meeting been properly noticed, Meredith?
It has.
Thank you very much. And with that, move on to public comment. If there's anyone in attendance who would like to address the board tonight, feel free to approach the microphones at the front of the room and state your name and address, and you'll have 3 to 5 minutes to address the board. I see no one here for public comment. Dean and Tamara, I believe that there has been no public comment submitted via email. Is it okay?
Not that I'm aware of.
Great, thank you very much. With that, we can move on to announcements. Are there any announcements from the board?
I think I'll just take a moment to acknowledge, Dean, an email that you sent, just acknowledging the retirees this year. Holy moly. My math brain was really excited about the 569 years. I just thought that was amazing. And just to recognize the people that are retiring this year and just to share some extra gratitude for all of their service to not only our district, I think almost everyone had just amazing years of service here in Verona, but just years of service to education in general. So huge thanks to the retirees. And belated thanks to those that retired in January. I hope they're having a great time.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Other announcements from the board? Dean?
Yes, no, I have a few. So thanks, Jen. I was going to mention our retirees, there are 24 of them. And also, just I want to give a shout out to Thad Shoemaker, who is the owner operator of Fitchburg Family Pharmacy. So yesterday and today was round 2, dose 2 of the vaccination clinic for children 12 plus. And over these last 2 days, we vaccinated over 650 kids. And so it went like clockwork. We had a number of our staff members there who assisted. So Vicky, Chad, Emmett, Amy, were there that are in this group, and Rachel back there, sorry, Rachel, and a number of other staff members that made that happen. So it's a great setup. It's a wonderful facility to have a mass vaccination site. So keep that in mind for future reference for when it's authorized for children 2 and older. And again, a big shout out to Thad for just making that happen. So I overheard him talking to the press today that they have vaccinated over 11,000 people from his pharmacy with his pharmacy. So that's phenomenal. And then also we had the Secretary for Safety and Professional Services, did I get that right? Secretary Don Grimm come and visit the school today to see the vaccination site and then also do a tour of the building. So it was great to see her there, and she was very complimentary of our efforts to get children vaccinated. Then, of course, our last day of school is Wednesday, day after tomorrow. So at times it didn't seem this year would ever end, but we are looking at the end of the school year. And I just want to say thank you to all of our staff members, whether they're food service or teacher or custodial. They have just done a phenomenal job this entire year, this entire pandemic. So going back to a year from March, with all the frequent shifts and pivots and recalibrations that they've had to do, they've just done a great job. And I'm so looking forward to this summer for them so that they have an opportunity to rest and relax and regenerate, because they surely have deserved it. So my hats off and gratitude to all of our staff for everything that they have done. And then finally, we are changing the time of graduation. So graduation is coming up this Saturday, the 12th of June. It's located at our new high school on the stadium field. And so we moved it from 1 o'clock to 10 a.m. with the idea and hope that we'll beat some of the heat. We'll see. It'll still be warm, but not quite as warm. So we understand that that's an inconvenience to some families because they're planning on 1 o'clock, but we also hope that we'll have actually a larger turnout than we would have if we had it during the heat of the day. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that it's even lower temperatures than what they're predicting. So with that, I think that's all I have for announcements.
Thank you very much. And just to echo the previous comments, my sincere thanks to our retirees. As a former student in the district, I certainly know a lot of these names here, and I've had an opportunity to benefit from their service in our district. So I'm eternally grateful to them for their service. And Dean, to your point, I'm also incredibly appreciative of all of the staff who will be returning with us next year as well. It's certainly been an incredibly challenging year. Any other announcements from the board?
No, I'll just add, my daughter was one of the ones who got her second shot today. So Dean, I just wanted to echo how well that vaccination clinic was done. And her comment was, it was over before I could even think about it. And so basically, the person was just so swift and efficient. And, she might have been a little worried, but she really didn't have time to think too hard about it. And it was over and done. So I'm just really grateful. She's the last one in my family, my immediate family, to get her second shot. So that's a sigh of relief. And I think for any parents out there who are still thinking about it, I just highly recommend really weighing it, because I think I didn't realize how much my teenagers feel a sense of relief for being vaccinated, and the freedom that they now feel knowing that they have some protection. So I think the pandemic has certainly affected all of us, but young people, teens who are really trying to gain a little independence from family members, it's been hard for them to be quarantined and kind of kept at home. And so having this protection, I think, for my students in particular, has really helped them. So I would just say thank you to everybody who's made that possible, because I don't know that we know truly the depth of what that has done to help our students and families.
Thank you very much, Christina. Any other comments, announcements from the board? All right, hearing none, we can move on to board business. We'll consider approval of the consent agenda items. Is there any discussion regarding any of the specific items within the consent agenda?
I'd just like to call out the amount of the bills, $5,942,149.04.
Thank you. Any other discussion regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. If there isn't an objection, this motion will be approved. Are there any objections? Last call for any objections. Hearing none, the consent agenda has been approved. And Dr. Clarity, would you like to introduce some of our new hires?
Good evening, everyone. As part of my onboarding process as the incoming superintendent for the Vernon Area School District, I was very delighted to have the opportunity to do hiring, especially at the administrative level and for cabinet, and very excited based off your confidence in me and our team with our hiring decisions that you just approved in the consent agenda. The approval of our new Director of Elementary Education, that's Mr. Adam Zingshine. Adam comes with a wealth of experience, but most importantly, he's a student-centered leader with a very strong equity lens and a leadership focus. He cares about his staff. He cares about student outcomes, and he's a great family man. So we're very happy to welcome Mr. Adam Zingshine.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'll keep this brief. It's just a tremendous honor to be joining this district, and I look forward to working with all of you in service to our students. So thank you.
Welcome, Adam. Thank you. All right, we have approved the consent agenda, and now we'll move on to our presentation by our fantastic students in MSAN. Welcome.
So good evening. My name is Carrie Hale. I'm a high school counselor and one of the two MSAN advisors. Mr. Sean Harris is hopefully joining us. He was wrapping up track practice. I am delighted to share with you. I've been looking forward to this all day. This group of young people is representative of our MSAN crew. We did not send students because of the pandemic. There was no student conference this year, and still our student leaders carry on the good work of social justice and making certain that all students feel welcomed in a sense of belonging. I think you will be in awe of the work that they have been doing this year in the craziest of school years in my 14 years at Verona. So I'm very pleased to welcome them. I think maybe the easiest thing for introductions is for me to just pass the microphone down. Yes, yeah, why don't you stand and introduce yourselves, and then they've got the presentation. They're going to do this part. You could probably put that right on top if you want.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Angela Abangwa, and I am a senior at Verona Area High School.
Hi. Oh gosh, that's on. Hi, I'm Anna Kanivi. I'm also a senior.
Hi, my name is Toja Blagoji, and I'm a junior at Verona Area High School.
Hi, I'm Ojazwi Pasache, and I'm a sophomore.
And we're going to present our what we've been doing this year, which is our action plan. So if you could please go to the next slide.
All right, Angela, I'm in charge of the slides, so that's a dangerous thing. Steve, can we dim some of these overhead lights here? Oh, wait, no, Tamara's doing that. Okay, Tamara's, as it should be, Tamara's in charge. Good choice. If you want to just hold on to it, that'd probably be better, because that way you don't have to mess around with changing the height of that. There you go.
So our goal during the 2020 and 2021 school year is to help students be empowered, embrace their identity, connect with their community, and learn about the different ways in which they can help their community however they choose to. One of our goals was the Wildcat High School Mentorship Program, and it is a virtual program that enables high school students and middle school students to interact and discuss topics including but not limited to intersectionality, activism, interests, and passions. The other way that we met this goal was through the Dane County Social Justice Youth Forum, and it was a one-day virtual conference where students from all over Dane County met and listened to keynote speaker David O'Connor, attended 2 workshops of their choice, and interacted with students during breakout sessions to discuss how they can take action in their communities and school districts. Can you move to the next slide, please? Thank you. Connections to the strategic plan. One of the pillars that we focused on was authentic relationships. In the Wildcat Mentorship Program, we worked to make sure that we built relationships with students by talking to them about what they were interested in. And in the Social Justice Youth Forum, we also worked on building relationships with other students from other schools by just talking to them about our passion of social justice and what we can do to help. The other pillar that we focused on was safe and inclusive environments. In both the Social Justice Youth Forum and the Mentorship Program, we worked to make sure that we were giving all students an equal chance to speak up and use their voice. We made sure that we were following basic equity norms, and we also talked about brave spaces and making sure that every student feels comfortable. Lastly, we talked about high expectations for students. During the mentorship program, we made sure that our students understood more complex topics. We asked them questions that we would normally not be discussing about in classes, about things like activism and social justice. And the same goes for the youth forum. We talked about things like what is cultural appropriation, or what is privilege and what is your privilege.
So during the 2020 to 2021 MSAN meeting, we met through the entire pandemic. Starting in July 2020, we prepared for the August all PD staff PD. And then we held that staff PD, or we were part of that staff PD on August 28th. We met virtually bi-weekly at 3, and we created the MSAN action plan. And with schedule change, we started meeting virtually over lunch. We participated in the MSAN Intersectional Collaborative from November to May, and the MSAN crew has hosted 5 Monday mentorship meetings. We were part of the Dane County Social Youth Forum for the Student Leadership Board, and they met 4 times during the spring of 2021, and we participated in the Dane County Social Youth Forum. During this PD on the 28th, we worked with Ms. Burgos and her presentation on the power of student voice. MSAN scholars shared their perspective and stories with all of the staff. MSAN students were present during all 3 sessions, which was during the entire day. And we stressed the need of humility and patience as both staff and students would begin virtual learning. That was one thing that we targeted through the Voice of Power student voice.
As Ms. Hill said earlier, our normal 4-day conference that we would have somewhere, which was actually supposed to be in Chicago, was canceled this year due to COVID. And so the collaborators came up with the MSAN Intersectional Collaborative. And through this, 6 members of VHS were selected, which were members of MSAN. And our themes that during this meetings, we met starting from, I believe, November as well, up until May. And during these meetings, we would have themes ranging from understanding racism in our environment, understanding racism in schools, talking about intersectionality. And these themes were usually started out with breakout rooms, and then we would have keynote speakers. And some of them included Dr. Bettina Love, Chief Dana, the Evanston High School students, as well as Mr. Jamal Cole. And then later we would go into more breakout discussions. And this was really helpful for us because we have used a lot of the resources that we got from the Intersectional Collaborative. And some of them include the 5 questions from Dr. Bettina Love, which literally formed our whole Wildcat mentorship. We also used the creative type test, as well as the Brave Spaces poem. And we put a picture of the Brave Spaces poem. It is by Mikey Scott Bay Jones. And it's really a poem that we've incorporated into a lot of the spaces that we've learned. So we encourage you all to Google that and look it up sometime. And so more about our Wildcat mentorship. So we created a promotional video for it, which was really fun and cool, but we're not gonna put you through that 3 minutes of that. But a little bit of a snippet about our presentation and action plan is, as I said before, we incorporated the 5 questions from Dr. Bettina Love, and then they included who am I? And so we had 5 meetings and we had 5 questions. So each meeting we would take a question and then we would form a theme based on that question. The first meeting was who am I? In that meeting, we focused on intersectionality. We talked to middle school students and discussed with them about just the different things that make up their identity. In our second meeting, it was who are my people? And this was focused more on community and understanding who your supporters are, who your allies are, as well as your co-conspirators. Our third meeting focused was the question, what do we want? And our fourth was, what are we building? And these 2 questions all focused on an intro to activism and why activism was important, and also helping middle school students understand that there is no one way to be an activist. Yes, you can be on the front lines, but what are your passions? That's what we wanted these middle school students to understand. How can they take their passions, whether it's art, music, writing poems, STEM, and use that to incorporate social justice in, and that's what we were focused on. And then our last meeting was, are we ready to win? And that one took a little bit of a struggle because us we didn't know what winning was exactly, because it was, I mean, how do you win with social justice? There's just so much history of racism just all around in our country. And we decided that we wanted to focus on defining success and helping middle school students as well as ourselves understand that there is no one way to win. And sometimes winning takes more than one time. Sometimes it's a continuous effort to fight for what is right. And then a lot of the data that we collected, we used Jamboards, and that's a picture of it, as well as Google Forms because it was virtual. And we wanted to also let middle school students share out their opinion truthfully. This mentorship program was really great. Occasionally we had very small numbers, but it was a pandemic, so we weren't expecting a whole lot of students, but the few who came did enjoy it. And moving forward, we would like to continue this program. And the middle school students that we talked to said they would like to be in it as well. And we think that if this program was in person, then it would be much more better. And then on my left side, we presented our action plan to the intersectional collaborative meeting in our last meeting. And these were some of the comments that we got from the students and staff that were in that meeting. Yeah, and we also have links to a promotional video and poster if you want to see the full thing.
So this is our connection to the Dane County Social Justice Youth Forum. The MSAN crew met with other students from Dane County to form the Student Leadership Board for the Dane County Social Justice Youth Forum. And the conference was completely student-led. So advisors helped a little bit, but it was mostly done by students. We had 22 districts representing this year, and the MSAN members were a part of the VAHS students who participated, and we have a link to the initial data. And up there we have a picture of the students from Verona Area High School that attended. And then to your left, you'll see the form or the outline of what was going on that day.
Yeah, and so we wanted to share a little bit of the data we collected because we found that across the county, a lot of students are looking for similar things. We, again, based our action planning off Bettina Love's 5 questions. And so we found that across the county, students are multicultural, diverse, they're advocates and activists, they're passionate, and they're accepting, and we found that all students at the conference want a world that's safe and diverse with acceptance and love. They want equal representation, and they want to be able to be themselves. They also want accurate history portrayed in their schools. And like Angela said, like this question, are we ready to win? It was a really hard one to answer, but we found that, yeah, we are ready to win, and that's going to take a continuous process. It's not going to be easy, but we really believe we're a generation that's going to create change. And so that means continuously fighting throughout our school years and beyond. Cool. So one thing we learned from the intersectional conference is that when we have goals this big and lofty, we need co-conspirators, and we especially need district staff and teachers and everybody to be on board with our action plan if we're really going to make these changes that we want to happen. And so we identified these co-conspirators within the district, and then we identified what we need from each of them. So the next part of our presentation, and this is the last part, is just identifying who they are and what we need from them. And so the first thing is all staff asking themselves continuously throughout everything they do is, how are you holding yourself accountable with the strategic plan? How are you supporting students in whatever way you support students, whether you're a teacher, food service, whatever it is, through an equitable lens? How can you better educate yourself to take necessary steps towards being this co-conspirator? So just continually asking yourselves those questions. And we also recognize that teachers are monumental in helping us accomplish our goals. And so we want to do more of these social justice days. We did have one, the Multicultural Leadership Council put one on in was it December? Yeah, December. So we want teachers to take those days seriously, make it an important part of learning and culture, because we really believe that these days that focus on social justice and equity, at least in my opinion, are more important than any math equation or essay strategy that I learned. And so like having teachers take them seriously and make them an important part of their classroom. And along with that, taking circles seriously, because we know that a teacher's attitude towards a circle discussion affects the environment of the class. And so if a teacher takes it seriously, hopefully students will model after that teacher and then in turn take it seriously as well. We want teachers to continuously ask themselves how they can make their curriculum more representative and inclusive of all students, because we believe if all students are going to succeed, they need to see themselves reflected in the curriculum. And along with that is normalizing learning about people of color in your classes. And that's not just an English or an history class, but also psychology and science and culinary, whatever class you're in. It shouldn't just be a whitewashed version of that class. It should be, you should be seeing people of all different backgrounds and identities.
For school administration and district, we ask that you hold our staff accountable, employ more staff of color, incorporate in this normalized discussions around social justice and celebrating multiculturalism, make them a requirement, implement them in all schools, not just high school. We want elementary school and middle schools to also learn about social justice and multiculturalism. Ensure that the Wildcat mentorship continues into the next academic school year. Clear communication between staff, students, and parents. As a student, I can say that we would really like to be a part of the communication. And again, students should have an input on decisions that have effects on them and take a stand. Most importantly, take a stand.
Okay, so just a little brief of what's going on. So we had our request from our staff, our request from our teachers, and then the administration, because I don't know what meeting it was, but I heard where it's like the school board is like the arch, and then there's like the administrators, and then the staff. So we're hoping that each arch over another like ensures that the people do what they're supposed to do. And so from you, our school board, we are requesting that you hold our various school administrations accountable. So that's just not in the high school, but in the middle and elementary school. Something that we've talked a lot about is in MSN is to ensure consistency, and this means no one and done situations. An example of this is I was fortunate to be a panelist on the school board forum, and one of the questions talked about a strategic plan, and a lot of them mentioned that yes, we have a strategic plan, but how is that being measured, or how is that being like continuously made sure that that what we want to see in 2023 is happening. And so one of the ways that we as a team thought could happen was having check-ins with the various schools to see progress or areas that they may need help in. And what this means is it would really help if, one of you just came to the high school and checked in with some of the clubs. And it doesn't always have to be MSN, because a lot of us have, shared, we're just like, oh, where's, someone, I don't know, because it's just, we have this one meeting where we present, which is great, but what happens throughout the year? Like, how are we ensuring that there's consistency, and not just with us, but like I said, the middle and elementary school students. So having representatives from your board go into those high schools or middle and elementary schools and see what's happening and see the change that is happening, I think would also be more effective. And as previously said, ensure clear communication, because oftentimes when information comes from you, like the school board, it doesn't get to students, and sometimes decisions or emails are sent to parents. And depending on parents' work schedule, sometimes the students are the ones who tell their parents information. So just making sure that there's a clear communication throughout the district. And just making sure that even with languages, yes, there's a Spanish version, but what about families who are part of the Hmong community, and just ensuring that those parents also get that message, and just making sure there's equity in our communication as well. And then student input in district implementation. I know Dr. Clarity is working on having some sort of student input next year, so I'm really excited for that, and I hope it's successful. And then checking with students in schools, as I said before, through clubs, not just MSN, it could be any extracurricular, and just see how that school, how the club is doing and how it's part of the Verona community. Yeah. And so if you have any questions for us, that was a lot to absorb, so a couple of minutes. But yeah.
Yeah, before we jump into questions, I just have to say, and I know I say this every year, how impressed I am at all the work that you've been able to accomplish in addition to your regular schoolwork and all activities that you participate in. And in a pandemic, the strategic plan that you've made is, it's professional grade. And I know that I learn every time that you present to us, and I think our district administrators also have an opportunity to learn from you all because this is just incredible work. And I want to reiterate and reaffirm one of the common threads of the presentation, that young people are driving social change, positive change, and our district certainly benefits greatly from your leadership. And that certainly is true in our district, that we have high school leaders like each of you who are pushing us to be better and making this district a better place for every student. So I am sincerely grateful for all of your work. I think that the other thing that I like to say is that I really appreciate how detailed your asks are in terms of holding us accountable in supporting your work and implementing this plan. And as board president, you certainly have my commitment to do everything I can to live up to these expectations that you've laid out. And I think that you'd find that each board member and the board as a whole is ready to do better at living up to these expectations. So I'm just extremely impressed and eager to see what we can do to continue supporting your work. Questions, comments from the board?
I'll go next. One, can we turn the lights down just a little bit? Thank you. This one right here in particular. Thank you to all of you for all the work that you've done. And I won't echo Noah too much. I do remember when running for my seat on the board this year, I mentioned to students that it was so important for them to ensure that their asks get directed to us as a board. I think that so often they feel that we're telling everybody what to do, but I really wanted to reassure the students and let them know that we're a school board that is focused on their education, and they are responsible for letting us know what's going well and what's not going well, and what it is they need from us in order to have the education that they want to have. And really letting them know that, we work for them. We're doing this for those students. We're not on the board for ourselves, and it's our responsibility to make sure that what they're needing and wanting is being obtained. So as I look at this list, I know that many of the things that you've asked for are things that I know we're working on as a board, we're working on as a district. Our superintendent has been working, our new superintendent, and I know Dean has as well, really been working on ensuring that we get these things to students. So we hear what you're asking for, and we want you to hold us accountable. I know quite a bit on here. You've asked us to hold other people accountable, but we're also asking you to hold us accountable in ensuring that we do meet these goals that you're looking for, and that every year we don't have the same things that you're wanting year after year after year. We should be making some progress. So know that it's not going unnoticed. We will keep notes of all the stuff that you have asked us to do and be sure that we're making progress towards getting those things done.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, I just had a question, just more on a personal level. If you guys want to, if you guys could go down, some or all of you, just talk about what, how this experience over the past year has maybe changed or challenged your thinking a little bit. I'd be curious to hear a little bit more about that individually.
Well, I can start. I will speak to like broader, like this year has like expanded on it. I joined MSAN my sophomore year. I know, I obviously am white, so yeah. So like as like an ally and a co-conspirator, I wanted to make a change because I knew that school was working for people who looked like me, and it wasn't working as well for others. And so I really wanted to make this change. And I had some friends that were like, "You should join," and I did, and it like definitely changed. I would say changed how my life is going to look in the future. It's changed what I'm going to major in college, and just changed how I think about the world. So the people in this group and the things that we do, like we're trying to make a difference in our school, but I also think we're impacting each other and making each other better leaders. I know they all make me a better leader and a better person. So yeah.
This year obviously looked different. Everyone usually gets excited to know who's gonna go to our conference, especially when it's out of state. It's usually much more fun because it's a free trip. But but this year, obviously, COVID happened, and we weren't going to go to a trip. And it was really different. It was shocking. It was confusing. And I remember when we started meeting, and after the staff PD day that we had, it was just, well, what are we gonna do? Because we were confused. It wasn't a typical year. And then luckily we had the intersectional collaborative. And it's one of the whole reasons why our mentorship was born is because when we went to this the first time, there was an overwhelming need. The middle school students just felt like, oh my gosh, I have never been in a space like this. I have never seen this many people of color in one space, even though it's just through virtual boxes. And we thought, why not, have something like this, especially if we could have something virtual. And I really liked that because I think, the action plans that we've always come up with were really robust and had a lot going on and a lot of demands, and we still do, but I think this one just meant more to me because I actually got to see ourselves in action. Because in typical years, we would usually present, and I could see the change that the staff would do or you all would do, but it was nice to actually see us in action and to see all the things that we've done. And we had our last meeting, and Ms. Hill said, we have like 45 slides in that thing. And I was just like, we came up with that, we did that as students, and it's just empowering and just makes me understand that us as a team, no matter our numbers, no matter how big or small we are always willing to put in the work. And, it just matters that we're dedicated and committed to what we do.
Personally, for me, I joined MSAN, pretty much last year during my sophomore year. And it's definitely taught me how to be more of a public speaker because I'm definitely an introvert, and like coming up on stage and talking to you guys is something I would definitely have not done like 2 years ago. But this year has been, of course, different. But one of the big things is that we've persevered through a lot. We've had to sacrifice a lot for MSAN, and the group of people here and our other crew are the most dedicated people I've ever seen. I'm so happy to be part of MSAN because I get to meet these wonderful people and get to talk to them. And then we're doing something that we all enjoy, which is social justice work. And yeah.
So I joined MSAN this year, and it was very eye-opening. I feel like before I kind of understood what social justice and activism was, but I never really like participated in it. But joining this year was like incredible. I just learned so much. And I met so many new people, and I've had so many opportunities to present myself as a leader. And I feel like I'm also very introverted, and it can be nerve-wracking for me to talk to a lot of people, but I've definitely been able to like overstep my boundaries and get out of my comfort zone in this club, which is really amazing.
One thing I wanted to make sure was clear that came up from the Dane County Social Justice Youth Forum Student Leadership Board, that's through DCEC, Dane County Equity Consortium. That Student Leadership Board exists because of Verona. So the year that the consortium was working to put the forum on, we joined forces and our students said, it cannot be adults planning for students, it has to be students planning for students. And so the Student Leadership Board was born that year because of Verona MSAN. So just wanted to make sure that point was also said out loud because I'm not sure it came across that clearly. Just really, really proud of this group of young people.
I just wanted to say, I love this presentation every year. So I've been watching as MSAN has comes with these high quality presentations and articulates thoughts that are so mature and beyond your years. And you do it in such a way that's challenging and respectful and clear. And this has been every single year. And as we watch MSAN graduate, there's always leaders that are coming right behind. And so as Anna and Angela, as you're graduating, we're going to miss you. We're going to miss seeing you, but we see that there's leaders that you have helped build up right behind you. And then to hear that you're reaching out to the middle school too, I mean, the reach that you will have through this group in our district is huge, and it is so valuable. And I'm so grateful for the work that you're doing. And I'm also grateful for Ms. Hale and Mr. Harris for facilitating this group. But I know that they have given you the opportunity to use your voices, but you have used them in a way that should make you so very proud. Makes me proud of you.
Other comments or questions from the board?
So I'll say ditto, 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 no, multiples of those. But I also want to put voice to the power of the mentoring that you've alluded to. So even though you said, oh, there weren't that many people this year, it was virtual, it's still so impactful, the work that you're doing, the power of mentoring, middle school students making those connections, building the next set of leaders to come into this work. And the fact that you're also, Carrie, you mentioned students helping support and driving what students need, and that you as students are driving what adults need. I still hear teachers reference that August Professional Development Day and the work that you shared. So this many months later, it is clear to say it had an impact on staff, and I want to share that extra gratitude as a way to keep empowering you to keep doing that work. I think the staff are receptive. I am honored to be a co-conspirator. Sign me up. And I think it's fair to say the other board members would be on that same boat. So thank you for your work. And I'm excited. This is my first presentation to hear it, but I know a few of them otherwise.
And I will ditto what a lot of people have said. I think we have so much pride, each year that we hear from this group and the various leaders that come up. And as a parent of someone who's graduating, but also a student who's still in middle school, I just think you bring a voice, such a wise voice for your age. And I think it's really, really great for other students to come in contact with that, to experience that, to see that. Even my middle schooler, when I would say, you should pay attention to MSAN, which I have said this before, because even though you're a middle schooler, a lot of what they say, student voice in that group to me is so mature. And it's just, I think, great to inspire other students to find their voice, to be able to stand up and, really express themselves with so much wisdom and thought. And just your presentations just to me reflect a much older person than you really are, which is amazing. I mean, it's amazing. So thank you very much. And I hope we'll continue to see your input and trying to get it down to the elementary and middle school level, because I think sometimes we adults underestimate students. We underestimate what you can do, and we don't realize for every high school student, as you're like yourself, who seems really mature and we're thinking, wow, this is beyond their years, there are middle and elementary school students who can live up to that too. So thank you for pointing that out, that we need to get it down to lower grade levels.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? This is with both middle schools, right? These are right. Perfect.
I appreciate the MSAN group every year as well. It's a pleasure to have you. As always, you are all so well spoken and your thoughts are very deep instead of shallow and many. I appreciate that very much. I know your advisors are very humble, but I want to shout out to them because I know that they give you the space to stand up. And they give you the ability to speak out, where I think it's easy for staff who are used to directing you in curriculum to direct you in activities as well, but it's been clear that your advisors have cleared a little bit of a path for you, but then lifted you up. And I appreciate that method of letting students grow. I've heard stories about MSAN students who may or may not love school and strive, but have found a voice in MSAN and have found a passion. And it's not only academics that matter. It's important. Kids, please study. I'm not gonna go too far with that, but I do know that your group in particular does give students a place to grow in a different way than academics that can make them mature in a way that will make our world a better place to live in. So thank you for standing up and leading for your group. Thank you for honoring your advisors. Thank you, advisors, for giving them the voice. Thank you to other staff who also make space for you to take time to do MSAN work. And may you continue to change this world that we live in for the better.
Any other questions or comments? All right, I have a few more things to say, and I'm certainly not trying to pick on any of my fellow board members, but I think that often, we use terms like mature beyond your years, or, and I think I even did it myself, very professional, but I think you are exactly mature to your age in that youth are always leading change. And youth are capable, they're brilliant, they're innovators, and there's no age that exists where all of a sudden people become a leader. So I think that you are always, you're proving your point that, listening to student voice isn't just something we should do just to incorporate into our work, but we should do it because you all have ideas and experiences that will make us better and is vital to how we operate as a district. And I think, Angela, you're a great example of, and I think for the new board members, some context. I think you were probably a freshman when you served on our strategic planning team and played a vital role in pushing that group to be ambitious and think about how we can be transformational. And you have also been an incredible member each year after that plan has been adopted in attempting to hold us accountable for change. And I'm glad that you did that today as well, because we certainly, in my viewpoint, have a lot of work to do. And that drive for change and willingness and dedication, as you described every day, is just it's just a necessary part of our district, and we all need to continue to think about how we can get out of your way and let you lead us to a better future. So I just really appreciate everything that you all have said today. Any other comments, questions from the board?
I want to just add on to that. There's something that you guys said several times in your presentation about doing the work. And I think that, we're often surrounded by people with opinions that don't want to do the work. And it's so refreshing to see people that are focused on doing the work. And that's, I think, for me, that was great to hear.
Any other last questions or comments from the board? All right, how about a round of applause for the presentation? Thank you all very much. I don't know if you have anything else that Carrie or Sean that you'd like to add, but certainly to Meredith's point, appreciate your work as well to help empower our students.
One last thing I would say in parting, our keynote from the youth forum was David O'Connor, and he said, our youth leaders aren't leading for the future, they're leading for today. So I will leave you with our gratitude for your time. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you all very much.
So much. Enjoy your last few days.
Yeah. All right, superintendent's report.
No, I don't think I could adequately follow that up, so no report tonight.
Yeah, probably best not to try, yeah. All right, future agenda items and meeting dates. Any questions or comments from the board on those?
So with the modification to graduation being at 10 o'clock a.m. this Saturday.
Yep. And one change just for the board, we have the June 5th meeting that's been moved to June 12th, just to point out a difference from some of the previous schedules.
You mean July?
July.
Sorry, yep, July.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
It says June on there, but I think, oh, yep, no, it does say July. Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments on future agenda items and meeting dates? All right, we can move to committee reports, CIA.
We did have a meeting the last Wednesday in May. Am I correct about that? It seems like forever ago, but I think that's correct. And we went over both summer school, an update on summer school, and some information about the TWE program moving up to their 8th grade year next year. And then also some additional information about the growth of curricular opportunities at the high school for advanced Spanish learners as well, how they will advance from then 8th grade into high school. And I wanted to say was the last CIA meeting for Lori Burgos, so we got to say how much gratitude we have for all that she's done for the CIA committee. And I will make sure the presentations, if they have not been shared with all board members, the slides that we went over at those meetings will get sent to everyone, so you can look those over.
Thank you very much. Finance BG&T.
The Finance Committee met, let me look at the date, May 27th. We talked a lot about the budget, as you might expect. This time of year, we're wrapping up this year's budget. There will be some dollars that will be unallocated, but the total dollar amount isn't known at this time due to some final bills coming in final payroll. We won't know what the total dollar amount will be until after those numbers are in. We also talked about the preliminary budget for 2021 and 2021-22 school year. We are hoping to keep the levy flat and even for taxpayers. And one way to do that, like we've done in the past few years, is to moderate our prepayment of debt that we have for the district. As you know, I do support payment off debt earlier if we are able to. But I know the last couple of years have been hard on our parents and our community members. And my intention would be to hold our levy where it is or perhaps slightly below. It depends on, again, all of the unknowns that we won't know until we can finalize the levy in late October. And that is due to the state not giving us our all of those unknowns and assumptions that we have to plan on until those numbers come in. So at this point, we're planning on a budget next year of $81,728,259. And if you have any more questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, they're in our consent agenda items, all of the bullet points.
Thank you very much, Amy. Personnel and policy.
We have not met, but we have been trying to get one on the calendar.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Noah, before we adjourn to closed session, I just want to do one more shout out to our colleague Lori Burgos, who is in the audience this evening. This is, as Christina said, her last board meeting for this board before she moves on to the Evansville Community School District and becomes their superintendent, and with a different board and other board agenda items. So Lori, thank you for 7 years of just exemplary service. So your fingerprints are all over this school district. I hope you recognize that, and you will be deeply, deeply missed. And I keep telling Lori that I'm glad I'm leaving too, because I wouldn't want to be here without her. Just a huge shout out to you for everything you've done. And would you join me in a round of applause for Lori?
Absolutely.
I promise I will only make 3 open records requests in your first board meeting. Doesn't matter.
Except that you
Good
can
luck,
ignore
Lori.
him if he's not an Evansville resident.
Well, thanks for reiterating that, Dean. And I just have to add that it has absolutely been a pleasure to work with you, Lori. And as we've talked about tonight, the strategic plan that will live on for years, you certainly played a critical role in crafting that. And I'm just incredibly grateful for all your work. So thank you.
Can I say one more thing about Lori that I didn't mention this? We discussed the fact that there was a group of students getting the seal of biliteracy this spring. And unfortunately with, COVID, we didn't have as many public recognition type events like we would normally have for seal of biliteracy recipients. But that is something that I'm so grateful to Lori for starting at this district. And so seeing those students, even with the pandemic, accomplish what they did to show such high levels of literacy in more than one language is amazing. So maybe in the future we'll get to do something for that group, since we didn't really get to honor them as we normally would. But Lori, thank you so much for leading that charge and having the seal of biliteracy be a part of this school district.
Absolutely. Thanks, Christina. And with that, I will accept a motion to adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin Statute 19.85, Parent 1, Parent C, to consider employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility regarding superintendent retirement benefits, and under Wisconsin Statute 19.85, Parent 1, Parent E, to deliberate or negotiate the purchase of public property, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever bargaining reasons require a closed session regarding potential wage settlements for VA, EA, and VESPA, and regarding potential third-party consulting contract for board governance.
So moved.
There's been a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. There's been a motion from Meredith and a second from Jana. Thank you. If there aren't any questions or comments, we will begin a roll call vote. All right, we'll start with Amy.
Aye.
Jen.
Aye.
Christina.
Aye.
Meredith.
Aye.
I'll vote aye as well. Jana.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
And we are adjourned to closed session. Thank you all very much.